Listen, there's a simple way to tell if a woman wants something real with you, and it's not the butterflies, the late night texts, or the 3 hour phone calls. It's whether the confusion disappears. I know that sounds too simple, but the truth is, when a woman is serious, your nervous system stops living on a roller coaster. You feel steady. You feel seen. You stop wondering if you're imagining everything. And here's the curiosity hook you're here for. There's a 10-second test that exposes this instantly. I'll give it to you after we lay the foundation, because if you only use the test and ignore the patterns, you'll talk yourself into a fantasy. Today, I want you to walk away with peace, not guesswork. Let's start where most men trip. The chase. The roller coaster can feel like passion. The silence after a spicy text can feel like mystery. The last-minute plans can feel like spontaneity. I get it. That up-down spike hits the same part of your brain as a slot machine. But here's the problem. The payout is usually disappointment. What you want isn't intensity, it's stability. Not boring stability, rich stability. The kind that feels like a deep breath you didn't know you needed. So how do you spot it? First, watch for steady investment. I'm not talking about a novel-length message on day one, I mean this. If you mentioned a big Monday meeting, she remembers and asks how it went. If you had a cold last week, she checks if you're back to normal. She doesn't just reply to what you say, she rejoins the thread of your life. That's not small talk, that's care. There's a quiet rhythm to it, not loud, not flashy, but unmistakably present. You don't beg for her time. You don't have to engineer clever excuses to get her attention. She shows up. She follows through. She keeps her word on small things because she's practicing for bigger things. Let me paint you a tiny scene. You text her, "Presentation at 3, wish me luck." She replies with a thumbs up and a joke. Hours pass. At 6:20, you're cleaning up. Your phone lights up. How'd it go? Did they buy the idea? That's not entertainment energy. That's construction energy. A woman who treats you like a short-term thrill won't track the details of your life. A woman who's serious tracks the beats because she wants to be in future chapters. And before you label this clingy, look at the difference. Desperation drains you. Consistency steadies you. One pulls attention, the other builds connection. Now let's talk about the future. This is where the confusion often hides in plain sight. A casual situation lives weekend to weekend. A committed mindset naturally peeks around the corner. It's not dramatic. It's not, "Marry me tomorrow." It's that her language shifts from I to we without making a speech about it. We should try that taco spot when your deadlines calm down. Next month, there's a street fair. That could be our thing. She's not forcing it. She's forecasting it. And here's the difference between words and patterns. A casual talker throws out "we" like confetti and disappears on logistics. A serious woman puts dates on calendars, suggests real plans, and actually shows up. There's a timestamp on her interest. Quick gut check here. If she never includes you in a plan beyond Friday night, that's not an accident. It's the story she's telling without saying it. Let that land. It's kinder to both of you to hear what her calendar is already telling you. Now, emotional openness. This one scares people because it's vulnerable, and honestly, it's where people have been hurt before. Here's the clean signal. She doesn't use you as a venting machine. She invites you into her interior world. She might tell you that her dad's expectations still echo when she makes career decisions. She admits jealousy she's not proud of. She shares what she's building and what scares her about it. This is not an audition. It's not an overshare to hook you, it's trust. When she's serious, she's not trying to impress you. She's trying to include you. And you have a role here. Don't skip to solutions. Don't do the 5-point plan when she's trying to open a door. Try this instead. Do you want me to listen or help? 9 words. They create safety. Safety invites more truth. Truth is the ground where partnership grows. A fling avoids hard conversations because there's nothing to protect. Someone who sees a future brings small conflicts to the table early so they don't rot later. Hey, when you text late, I go quiet. Can we plan better? That awkward sentence is a green flag. Let me give you a mini story. 2 people, 2 months in. He's slammed at work and goes foggy for a week. She doesn't punish him with silence. She says, "I don't want to compete with your deadlines. I want to support them. Can we find a rhythm that works for both of us?" That's not clingy. That's strategy. That's someone who wants this to work in the real world where calendars and commitments live. Now we're at the sign most men misread, prioritization. You can't see it in a single Friday night. You'll see it across 3 weeks. She rearranges a spin class because your friend's art show matters to you. She sets aside Sunday afternoon because you only get 1 day before travel. She remembers your mom's surgery date without you reminding her. Not because she's performing, because she cares. Time is the most honest currency. When she budgets it to include you, that's commitment in motion. And no, This does not mean she drops her life. Healthy prioritization looks like balance. She still hits her goals, keeps her friendships, and makes you feel like a fixture, not a footnote. Here's a quick calibration line you can steal. I don't need all your time, just your real time. When she's serious, she'll nod and meet you there. When she's casual, you'll feel that sting of vagueness. Vague is a choice. People are shockingly clear when they want to be. Let's talk about integration into her world. If months pass and you're still a secret, that's data. I'm not saying introduce you on day 3, I am saying that grown-up relationships don't live in hiding. When she's serious, she pulls you into small dinners, group hangs, maybe a family birthday where you're the new face. She pays attention to how you fit with her people because this is not just a romance, it's a life. And you'll notice something. Her friends already know about your coaching season, your habit of ordering black coffee, or the funny thing your niece said. Why? Because she's been talking about you, proudly, casually, the way people talk about someone who matters. Humor break, because we're heavy. If you show up and her best friend says, "Oh, so you're the guy who hates olives," that's not surveillance. That's affection by proxy. Lean into it. Those little details are signals that you exist in her conversations when you're not around. We also need to name the opposite, compartmentalization. If she keeps you in a neat little box where you never bump into her friends, never hear about family dynamics, never become a character in her weekday stories, be honest with yourself. Some boxes are labeled temporary. It's okay. You don't need to be angry, you do need to be honest. I promise the 10-second test and you've earned it. Think about the last 3 weeks. Do you feel calmer with her or more anxious? Not excited, anxious. Does she leave you wondering if you said something wrong, or does her pattern reassure you when life gets busy? Your nervous system is a better lie detector than your hopes. If your body exhales when her name pops up because you know where you stand, that's the greenest flag there is. If your stomach tightens because you never know which version of her you're going to get, that's a pattern too. But wait, it gets better because there's a second layer you can't see on a highlight reel. It's how she treats your growth. We'll go there next, and I'm going to give you a tiny story that separates a partner from a performer in under a minute. Before we do, quick checkpoint for you. If you've ever ignored steady effort because it felt less exciting than chaos, type steady spicy in your own notes or the comments. You're not alone, you're just ready to graduate. Okay, one more beat on emotional openness because this is where many men either freeze or overfunction. When she shares something raw, a jealousy she's embarrassed about, a fear of failure, a moment she didn't handle well, your job is to show you can hold the weight without dropping it or pretending it isn't heavy. Try this script. Thank you for trusting me with that. I'm here. Then ask, is there anything you need from me? Simple, present, strong. That's how safety compounds. Remember, you're not looking for perfection. You're looking for a pattern you can build a life on. And patterns are made from 100 small choices, not one big gesture. Speaking of patterns, the next 2 you'll hear are the difference between temporary chemistry and durable partnership. They're also the ones most likely to be misread as controlling or boring when, in reality, they're the quiet superpowers that make love last. Now let's talk about the moment that exposes whether she's building with you or just enjoying you while keeping a parachute packed. You can't see this on a date. You hear it in the way she speaks about you when you're not there. Does she defend you, respect you, and set boundaries with other people? Or does she sit quietly while friends take low-key shots? That's the partner versus performer test. Imagine this. Her friend teases, "He's kind of intense about his work, huh?" She laughs and says, "He's focused. That's why I respect him. Also, he still makes time for people." That's loyalty in small talk. No speech, no drama, just a tiny moment where she plants a flag. A performer would shrug or worse, join the joke to avoid friction. A partner has your back without making a scene. This matters because relationships are not built in romantic isolation. They're built in everyday rooms where other opinions live. How she navigates those rooms tells you if she sees you as a person to protect or a pastime to enjoy. Now let's open the growth chapter. A serious woman supports your mission. She doesn't compete with your purpose, she collaborates with it. When you say, "I'm getting up at 6 for a gym block," she says, "Cool, text me after your set," not, "Ugh, you're choosing dumbbells over me." When you've got a late sprint at work, she doesn't guilt trip. She plans around it and asks, "Do you want me to bring you dinner or do you need quiet?" Sometimes she'll challenge you too. "You told me you wanted to finish that proposal by Thursday. Do you want help breaking it down?" That's not nagging. That's belief in action. Mini story time. 2 versions of the same Tuesday. Version A, you say, "I'm trying to cut back on late night scrolling." She sends you reels at 1 a.m., then jokes when you don't react. Version B, you say the same thing. At 10:30, she texts, "Proud of you. Phone down. I'll talk to you in the morning." Version B is partnership. It may not feel as glamorous, but it transforms your life because it's aligned with your future, not just your feelings. Growth support also shows up in how she reacts to your wins. If she's casual, she gives you the "that's cool" pat on the head and pivots back to herself. If she's serious, she asks for details, remembers the steps you took, and celebrates the small milestone because she was watching the whole time. She wants the story behind the headline. That attention is fuel. Now let's address the anxiety point. Does supporting your mission mean she disappears behind yours? No. Healthy support is reciprocal. You're also curious about her goals, you protect her time, and you cheer her on like her future depends on it, because it does. The dynamic becomes two people running in the same direction, sometimes in parallel lanes, sometimes hand in hand, never dragging the other off the track. All roads lead to this: loyalty and practice. People think loyalty is big, cinematic gestures. It's usually quiet. It looks like closing old loops, not keeping exes in the front row of her DMs, not flirting for ego points, not entertaining attention that muddies the water. It looks like being clear with boundaries. I'm seeing someone and I'm serious about it. It looks like working through conflict instead of using conflict as an excuse to reopen the App Store. When things get tense, and they will, she doesn't threaten exits as a control tactic. She says, "I want to solve this because you matter." That sentence stabilizes entire relationships. Here's another tiny test. When you two disagree, does she escalate to win or slow down to understand? If she slows down, that's loyalty. If she plays silent games, that's ego. Loyal partners repair, performers perform. You might be thinking, okay, but what if it's early and I can't see all this yet? Good question. Early days are for noticing direction, not perfection. You won't get a full data set, but you will see micro evidence. A quick check-in on your meeting. A small "we" about next month, a gentle boundary with a persistent admirer. You're not grading a final exam, you're reading a map. Is the arrow pointing towards stability? Trust that. Let's make this practical. I'm going to give you 7 micro moments you can watch for over the next 2 weeks. They're simple and each one maps to what we've talked about. Follow through ping? You mentioned an early appointment. She circles back without prompting. That's consistency. Calendar proof. She suggests something with a date, not just sometime. That's future orientation. Interior share. She tells you a small fear and doesn't punish you for hearing it. That's emotional openness. Time budget. She moves a minor thing to make a meaningful thing with you happen. That's prioritization. World merge. She says, "Come by for game night," or "Sam's birthday is Saturday. Want to join?" That's integration. Fuel check. You mention a goal. She asks a specific follow-up later. That's growth support. Boundary set. She shuts down a flirty ex or a coworker with grace. That's loyalty. If you see 4 or more consistently, you're not guessing. You're reading a pattern. Let's also talk about your side, because good men sabotage good women by mislabeling green flags as no spark. Stability can feel unfamiliar if all you've known is adrenaline. If you've normalized chaos, calm will read as boring. It's not boring. It's safe, and safety is where intimacy grows wild. Ask yourself, do I want fireworks or a fire that warms my life? You can enjoy both, but only one cooks dinner every night. I want to give you language you can use that keeps the tone warm and the standards high. Try these. I value reliability. I don't need perfect, just steady. I love fun plans, and I also love plans that actually happen. I want to be with someone who turns toward problems with me, not away from me. Say them early. The right person will lean in, the wrong person will self-select out. You just saved both of you months. We haven't talked about humor enough, and humor matters because it regulates your shared nervous system. You're allowed to laugh at the learning curve. When you both realize you're texting paragraphs to avoid a 12-minute phone call, say it. We're writing novels like it's 2009. Call me in 10. I promise I'm only mildly awkward. Laughter oils the gears. Now let's do a quick what to do when you're not sure. If you're seeing some signs but the picture is fuzzy, avoid detective mode. Detective mode kills attraction and creates stories that aren't there. Do clarity mode. Clarity mode says, I like what we're building. I want to make sure our effort matches our words. Would you be open to X? Then name a small X. A weekly check-in call, putting something on the calendar 2 weeks out, making friend introductions when it feels natural. You're not issuing demands, you're offering structure. Structure is sexy to people who want to build. What if you don't see the signs? Give it 2 honest weeks where you show up as the partner you want to attract. Present, steady, open. If nothing changes, accept the data. Release with grace. I've loved getting to know you. I'm looking for something a bit more intentional, so I'm going to step back, wishing you the best. That's not cold, that's kind. You're not punishing anyone, you're stewarding your time. A quick word on self-respect. The longer you entertain uncertainty, the more uncertain you become. It's not just about her, it's about who you're training yourself to be. Choose environments that strengthen your calm, not ones that constantly test it. I promise micro hooks to keep your brain engaged, so here's one more. The smallest word that changes the entire tone of a budding relationship is we. Not as a sledgehammer, not as a trap, but as a hint. When she says, we should check out that hiking trail when the weather drops, don't overthink it. Smile and say, deal. I'll bring snacks, you bring opinions. Light. Warm. A tiny brick in a very good wall. Let's land this with a final scene, because stories stick better than lists. Two people, 3 months in. He's tired after a messy week. She shows up with a grocery bag, soup, ginger ale, and that weird tea he pretends to like. She says, you don't have to talk. I'm putting on your favorite dumb movie. 30 minutes, then I'm leaving you to sleep. No drama, no ledger. That moment isn't Instagrammable, but it's the foundation you can move a life onto. Add it to the other moments. A boundary set here, a plan kept there, a joke that diffuses tension, a small defense when someone takes a cheap shot, and you have the shape of something that lasts. Before you go, the last protective idea I want to leave you with is this. Love is not a riddle to solve. It's a pattern to notice. Patterns don't shout. They repeat. When she's serious, confusion fades, calendars align, conversations deepen, and your body knows it's safe. When she's casual, clarity never arrives, plans float, hard talks get dodged, and your body stays braced. You don't need to make anyone the villain. You just need to choose the environment where your best future can grow.